Hey guys, this is Surex Gaming and welcome back to another episode of the Kombat Codex, the series where I give you a breakdown of some obscure lore and behind the scene facts of Mortal Kombat characters. Recently revealed in the Keepers of Time trailer was Geras, who will be making his second playable appearance, his first being the last game in the series, Mortal Kombat 11. Given that Geras is the most recently announced character, I figured he would be the subject of today's episode of the Kombat Codex. So without further ado, let's dive into 10 obscure facts about Geras that you probably did not know. Obscure fact number 1. This one's probably the one that most people will know, as it was quite prominent back when Mortal Kombat 11 was leading up to launch, but originally Geras was going to be named Terminus instead of Geras. In the files of Mortal Kombat 11, and this was leaked quite early on as well, Geras was referred to as Terminus rather than Geras, and his codename was TER. Why this was changed, we don't know. The most likely reason is because that, as most of you are probably aware, the Terminator ended up being a guest character in the first combat pack of Mortal Kombat 11, so they likely changed Geras' name to something a bit more original to make sure that he didn't line up with the Terminator. Personally, I actually prefer the name Terminus for Geras, but I do understand that if that was the reason why they changed it, it does make sense to me, and I get it. And, you know, Geras is still an alright name for a mid character. Obscure fact number 2. Geras is a fixed point in time, and thus cannot actually be killed or erased from the timeline. We see a couple examples of this throughout Mortal Kombat 11. Kind of the big thing about Geras' character is that he can't actually die. He gets decapitated by Kung Lao in the story and it doesn't do anything. He gets exploded by Cassie Cage in the story and he regenerates after time. The only way he was definitively defeated in Mortal Kombat 11 was when Raiden attached him to an anchor and dropped him into the bottomless sea of blood. We do also technically see Shao Kahn and Sindel defeat Geras, but it's very likely that he just regenerated after that, given that that's kind of the core functionality of his character. Building off of Geras' ability to resurrect himself, obscure fact number 3, Geras is actually the second character in the entire Mortal Kombat series who can resurrect himself mid-fight using a special move, the first one being Jason Voorhees in MKX during his Unstoppable variation. When this happens, Geras can resurrect himself at the end of a match with a little bit more health, just as kind of a final stand type move. Other characters in Mortal Kombat 11 who can do this include the Terminator and Devourer. Obscure fact number 4. In the early builds of Mortal Kombat 11, Geras was actually depicted as having bright blue blood, similar to Devourer. In Geras' MK11 design, you can sort of see these almost blue veins in between where his body's been pieced together, and in the original versions of the games, and the original promoted versions of the games, Geras had this bright blue blood coming out. Very similar to Devourer's blood, as I said before, but for some reason, late in development, this was changed to red blood. We don't know why. It was never mentioned by NetherRealm Studios. It was never brought up again, and we all just kind of moved on. Even Kronika in the base game has red blood, and she was also never depicted to have blue blood, so I guess it was just a design choice they were going for at the time that they decided wasn't really going to work out for them. Fact number 5 is that Geras is very likely named after the Greek god of old age, who is, as you guessed it, also named Geras. This would play into Geras' inspiration of being, you know, kind of this immortal figure who's been around for all eternity, just hanging out and watching the events unfold, and just whenever Kronika says, hey, you gotta go do something, Geras goes and does it. He is very old. When they were originally coming up with the concept of his name, I'm guessing Terminus, when they decided that that wasn't right, they did some research and they were like, hey, there's a Greek god of old age named Geras, let's go with him. They could have also potentially named Geras after the Greek god of time, who is named Kronos. But I could understand again when it comes to, you know, Terminus, Terminator being too similar. Kronos and Kronika could have been very, very much mixed up between, you know, people discussing the game and casuals. You do also have the fact that Kronika is kind of the top time character in the series, so it makes sense for her to be given priority treatment for that name and all time-based names, I guess. Fact number 6. During some interactions with various characters in Mortal Kombat 11, Geras claims to have witnessed several key historic events, both in actual history and in lore history as well in Mortal Kombat. Some examples of these include the Tarkotans' eternal servitude to Outworld's throne, more specifically Shao Kahn, Geras also compares Cassie to a modern Joan of Arc. He also claims to have met Johnny and Cassie's Mediterranean warrior ancestors at some point in time. He also has an avid knowledge of Lin Kuei history, as he explains to Sub-Zero at some point during the game. He also knows of Argus's infidelity surrounding Rain, and of Rain's mother. He even goes as far as to know Rain's mother's name, Amara. And of Sindel's apparent, you can't see this, but I just did quotation marks and fingers, because I don't believe this is canon, but Sindel's apparent betrayal of Edenia and murder of Jared. But, you know, Mortal Kombat 1's coming out soon. We'll see if that storyline sticks. Fact number 7. Geras, aside from Kronika of course because she's not playable, is the only playable character in MK history whose moveset involves him manipulating time in various ways. He does have a lot of time-based moves and a lot of sand-based moves. You could draw a bit of a comparison between Geras and Tremor, but when it comes down to it, Geras does stand out. Aside from Tremor, I do believe Tremor stands out independently as well, as he's more of a rock ninja rather than a sand ninja. But Geras is the only character who we've played as so far who can manipulate time mid-match in various different ways. One example of Geras being able to manipulate time in a part of his moveset is that he is also the only character in the series whose moveset includes a move that allows him to interfere with the match timer. This also makes him one of the only Mortal Kombat characters in the series' entire history who is capable of breaking the fourth wall in this way and interfering with the match outside of just fighting. Other examples of this include Geras being able to rewind time during the match, such as swapping his and his opponent's places after the opponent's done a move or you've done a move. He is also able to freeze the opponent and land multiple hits before one of them takes effect. Fact number 9. During an interaction with the Joker, Geras also implies that he knows the secret identity of Gotham's Clown Prince of Crime, though Geras doesn't actually reveal it in the interaction. This is interesting because given that the Joker is a guest character and DC has had him around for 80 to 90 years and not revealed his actual name, it's very interesting that Geras knows this secret, but Geras won't tell us to keep the mystery alive. And for the final obscure fact about Geras in this video, if you select Johnny's announcer in Mortal Kombat 11, he will refer to Geras as a Busta Rhymes. This is a reference to the American rapper Busta Rhymes, and I have heard this rapper's name before, so I thought I'd Google him and see if he looks like Geras. He does not look like Geras. It's just a funny joke on Johnny's behalf. And that marks 10 obscure behind the scenes and in-lore facts about Geras that you may not have known. Let me know in the comments down below if you're excited to see Geras return in Mortal Kombat 1. I personally, I'm not really a fan of Geras, but I do admit that he looks better and he looks a lot more fun in this game than he did in the last game. So here's hoping. As you'll see with the gameplay on screen, I'm absolutely terrible with Geras. I hate playing Geras. But, you know, I'm always open to seeing characters get reinvented. Thanks for watching this video, guys, and if you enjoyed it, leave a like, and let me know in the comments down below who you'd like to see in the next episode of the Kombat Codex. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.